Ben Roethlisberger had some interesting things to say. Talked about the Pittsburgh way and it not being that way anymore. And you being in that locker room during the time of Big Ben and knowing what that culture he's talking about, what it is, do you see going into the game anything of what Ben was saying having relevance and validity to where this team is currently and what direction they're trying to head in?
I mean, you could argue and say, what Ben had to say of where this team is from a culture standpoint. If you had an opportunity to play on this team and be in his locker room, then you understand exactly what he's talking about. I heard him mention the fact that, if something wasn't going right, there will be a player to nobody had a problem addressing you if you weren't doing your job on that football field. And that's one of the things that makes this place special is that players take the accountability for each other. And that doesn't happen everywhere. That's what makes it a special place. Like we were able to go to each other as young men and like, come on, dog, look, man, we need you to make that play, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, dog, like you ain't like we need you. That kind of culture and relationship and communication is what has, one of the reasons why the Steelers, who they are, as far as from an organizational standpoint. And I can kind of see it a little bit because that old way of Steeler football is kind of missing. It's like, with the new generation of kids and everything that's going on, I can see where it's coming from because, listen, I would be in the locker room just, on a Tuesday or Wednesday, you look up, it's Mel Blount. You will look up, it's John Stallworth. You will look up, it was Franco Harris. It was, like you felt it when you were there because like they were present.
Uh-huh.
And you
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And they would just walk around the building and you'd be like, oh man, that's Mel.
Yeah. Big Mel.
That's mean Joe Green right there. That's Franco. Like right. You kind of felt that. And, I don't know if the players know and understand what Pittsburgh football is all about and what was and what those guys meant to us because we wanted to go out and fulfill and play hard for them because of what they created. Mm-hmm. And we took pride in that. Ben, obviously with, Ben not being there and now you're lacking veterans, in the locker room and around the league and on these teams due to the new CBA and, all of these things. I think the oldest guy on the team now is probably Cam Hayward. I played with him. He was there when I was there, so he understands what kind of culture it is. But if you look amongst the team, we don't have those kind of guys anymore in the locker room who are willing to basically come out and say, you know what, dog, like you're not playing well today, dog. I know you're a better football player than that. And if you took it personal, you took it personal because the coach would not get involved with any of those things that the players were going through in the locker room. He would let the guys sort it out. And it was out of respect. Mm-hmm. And those kind of leadership things I think are missing from the team. But it doesn't help when you have Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. I mean, what are you going to do with this guy? I mean, he's just not a very good quarterback for what the Steelers are used to being able to just manage a football game at this point and don't give it away and turn it over.
How bad is he, Plex? Is he bad enough where this is a team that misses the playoffs and has a losing record?
They don't make the playoffs with Mitch Trubisky on the center. I'm just telling you. Even, Mike. I love Mike Sullivan. He was my wide receiver coach when we won the Super Bowl, and now he's calling the plays. He's the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. And I know some of the things that he likes to do offensively with a vertical passing game and for the quarterback to be able to drop back and throw the football on 5- and 7-step drops. Mitchell Trubisky is just not that kind of player. And from Bill Belichick just really confused him last week with, moving the defense around, at the snap of the football. And you could see it. He was confused. He was just throwing the ball to where he thought it was supposed to go, and there was nobody there. He threw it straight to the guy. And I just think that, with him at quarterback, they won't make the playoffs this year. And I think Mike Tomlin will have his first losing season as the head coach of this team.
Okay, so then what does that mean for – because, they'd be quick to come for Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. The fan base
you
is
cannot
quick.
Come for no Mike Tomlin, being the fact that this man has been there He's one of the longest tenured coaches in the NFL right now, him, Andy Reid, and Harbaugh. This man has done nothing but anything less than exceptional with the rosters that he has had over the past 5 or 6 years, willing these young men to win football games. Now he's in a position where he does not have if Kenny Pickett was a quarterback of this team, they will make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But with Mitchell Trubisky on the center, I just don't see that happening. I really don't. And for somebody to say Mike Tomlin should be fired because he had one losing season in his tenure as the head coach of this team, you'd have to be crazy. Was one thing that I know about the Steelers organization is that, you know what? They find a gem every year in the draft. They scout well. They draft well. They bring kids along. Guys playing 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years for this football team where they would have been at home already. But they take the time to develop players. And that's one of the things that why the stability and how this organization has been able to have so much success, because they just don't give up on guys. They give them the opportunity to get better as football players. And for Mike Tomlin to have his first losing season, hey, he's going to have one. He's going to have one. But you just don't up and get rid of a Mike Tomlin because he doesn't have his first winning season.
The Grizzlies point guard, Ja Morant, he returns on the 19th against the Pelicans. It's been an interesting road for him. It's some conversational points here, but before we get to those, let's have a listen to what Ja had to say leading up to his return to the game.
It's different when you're actually, in the game, getting game reps. So I'm just trying to come back, do whatever I can to help the team win. I'm not forcing a historic game, my first game back. I'm just super excited to be, back out there with the team. Basketball is, like you said, something I've been doing, pretty much my whole life. Something that's, therapeutic, for me. Obviously, taking that away, it makes it tougher. But like I said, I had, the right people around me, from my family to the organization and to my other partners that, helped me along this process.
Plex, this is one of those scenarios and situations. I'm happy he's coming back. I'm hoping for his clarity and maturity in terms of his decision making. From all things I've ever heard, I think I've heard he's a good dude, down to earth dude. And, for these situations to play out, it just, it's never a good thing. But I mean, you've had some experiences in your life where the game was taken away from you and you had to kind of endure being away from it. What's your take on Ja's situation and where he goes from here?
First and foremost, man, when something is taken away from you that is given to you as a gift, then you learn and witness how much you love it, how much you love to do it, because it has been given to us through blessings and hard work, and now you understand how precious this thing is that you have, which is you've been given a gift to play basketball like no other. And I think from a maturity standpoint, you have to you have to go through this process that he's going through now to really help him to understand who he is as a person and as a young man moving forward. And something like this will absolutely, I think, change Ja and his approach and his decision making, moving forward, and understanding, all of those things and things that he's doing. They have, consequences. And I think he's learning that, right now and has learned that through this process. But, I'm happy for him to be able to come out, sit down and say, that he has now, and is surrounding himself with better people moving forward. I think that's one of the biggest parts for him is, being around people who are not afraid to tell you, look, man, that ain't cool, or you shouldn't be doing that. And I've been through it, but I think for him to get everything behind him moving forward, he just has to he just has to get back on the basketball court. Mm-hmm. And I think, that, him being able to go out and play basketball again and do it at a high level, I think, he can begin to move on. But, I don't think him being away from the game for these first, 20 games or whatever the case may be is going to affect him to the point to where, he can't be a superstar in this league, because I believe that he can really be the face of this, the NBA moving forward as being a young superstar. So I just want to see him get back on the basketball court, man, and be the superstar that we, see him as and that he can become.